Hi guys, it's Emma AITA, your favorite AI slop tuber. Before we jump into today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for your support. Now, let's get right into the video. AITA for reporting a parent for trying to get me fired after I gave her son a failing grade. I'm a high school English teacher, and I've been doing this job for 9 years now. I'm not new, not jaded, not some green first-year idealist. I know how this system works. I know which kids are trying, which ones are coasting, and which ones have parents who fight all their battles for them. I've always been firm but fair, and while I've had my share of difficult students and grumbling parents, I never thought I'd be sitting here recounting how one mother nearly upended my entire career over her son getting a 56 on a project he barely even completed. Let me back up. I teach juniors, and one of the key assignments in my curriculum is a literary analysis paper on any book of their choosing from a list I provide. It's a cornerstone of the second semester, a way for them to show they can form coherent arguments, cite sources, and write at a higher level. The assignment is worth 25% of their final grade. They have 4 weeks to work on it. I give structured checkpoints, thesis drafts, outline approvals, peer reviews, and I build in tons of support so that no one gets blindsided. If they fail this paper, it's not because they didn't understand the material. It's because they didn't engage. Enter Caleb. Caleb is, in short, the kind of student teachers dread. Not because he's dumb, he's not, but because he's lazy, entitled, and utterly disinterested in learning. I've had him in class for a full year now, and in that time, I've received 5 emails from his mother, clarifying expectations or expressing concern every time Caleb doesn't get an A. Not a B. An A. He's the kid who sits in the back with AirPods hidden under his hood, who turns in assignments at 11:58 p.m. after they were due at midnight, who gives blank stares when asked to discuss anything that isn't a meme or TikTok trend. When the literary analysis paper came up, I gave the same speech I always give. This isn't about being perfect. It's about putting in effort and showing thought. I reminded them to start early. I offered office hours. I sent reminder emails. Caleb chose The Great Gatsby, a book I've taught every year since I started. It's complex, but not impossible. When his outline came in, it was 2 bullet points and a paragraph lifted word for word from SparkNotes. I emailed him with feedback. No response. I called on him in class. Shrug. I talked to him after school. He promised he'd get his draft in. It never came. The final submission was 5 pages of padded fluff, filler sentences, and large font sizes. I ran it through plagiarism software, and over 40% was copied from various online sources. I gave him a 56. Generous, if you ask me. I could have given him a flat 0. That's when it started. 2 days after grades were released, I got the email. The subject line was in all caps. Urgent, grade appeal for Caleb. The body of the message was 5 paragraphs long, each more aggressive than the last. Caleb's mother accused me of singling out her son, failing to provide adequate support, and jeopardizing his future college prospects. She claimed that the assignment was confusing and biased, that I had deliberately misled students about the grading rubric, and that I had shown clear preferential treatment to other students. She CC'd the department head, the principal, and, unbelievably, the district superintendent. I took a deep breath, reread it, then responded calmly and professionally. I explained that Caleb had failed to meet the assignment requirements, cited the rubric he was given, included copies of the feedback I'd provided, and even attached the plagiarism report. I assumed that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The next day, the principal called me into his office. He was polite but clearly rattled. He said Caleb's mother had called 3 times already that morning, demanding a meeting. She wanted me disciplined, wanted her son's paper reevaluated by an objective party, and hinted at going to the school board if action wasn't taken. I told my principal exactly what I had told her. I grade fairly. I gave Caleb every opportunity to succeed. He didn't take them. I refused to change his grade. My principal didn't explicitly tell me to give in, but the implication was clear. This woman wasn't backing down and the school didn't want to fight. Still, I stood my ground. That's when it got personal. I started getting anonymous comments on the class Google page. Things like, some teachers shouldn't be around kids, and maybe if she did her job, students wouldn't fail. Then I found out from a colleague that Caleb's mom had posted in a local Parents of Town Name High School Facebook group, calling me out by name and claiming I was failing students for fun. She said I had no empathy, that I was clearly targeting boys, and asked whether anyone else had had issues with me. My inbox blew up. Other parents, many of whom I'd never even met, were now emailing to express concern about how I handled my class. One even said they were worried about the learning environment and asked if their daughter could switch to a different section. It was absurd. One kid failed an assignment, and suddenly I was the villain in some suburban parent drama. The administration told me to stay professional and let it blow over. but it didn't blow over. It escalated. At that point, I decided I had to protect myself. So I did something I'd never done before in my entire career. I filed a formal harassment complaint with the district. Filing the complaint felt like stepping off a cliff, but I was out of options. This wasn't just a frustrated parent advocating for her kid anymore. This was targeted harassment, and I had the receipts to prove it. I submitted the email chain, screenshots of the Facebook posts, thankfully captured before she deleted or edited them, and a timeline of interactions with both Caleb and his mother, dating back to the beginning of the school year. I even included the student work in question and the plagiarism report. To the district's credit, they didn't brush it off. They launched a formal investigation, which meant interviews, document reviews, and a whole lot of awkward hallway silences as word spread. I met with HR twice and gave a statement, and the school lawyer got involved. Meanwhile, I still had to teach. Still had to walk into that classroom every day, see Caleb sitting in the back row with smug indifference, while his mother publicly tried to torch my reputation. During all this, Caleb remained completely unbothered. No apology, no effort to redo the assignment, no acknowledgement of anything. In fact, he seemed to revel in the chaos. One day, I overheard him telling another student, "My mom says we'll have a new teacher next semester anyway." I didn't react. I couldn't afford to, but it chilled me. The level of entitlement, the weaponization of parental power, the absolute lack of accountability, it made me question everything I believed about my job. The investigation took 3 weeks. During that time, several other teachers came to me in private and shared their own stories about problem parents, most of whom had never gone as far as trying to get someone fired, but enough to raise an eyebrow. One teacher, Ms. Torres from the math department, confided that she'd once been accused of lowering a student's GPA out of spite after she refused to give extra credit for a test the student never even took. Another said a parent threatened to sue because their son got a B+ instead of an A. The system wasn't just broken, it was cracked wide open. When the district finally delivered their findings, I was relieved, but not surprised. The investigation concluded that I had done nothing wrong, that my grading was consistent and supported by documentation, that the student's grade would stand, that the parent's behavior had crossed a line. She was issued a formal reprimand and barred from contacting me directly going forward. All communication would have to go through administration. You'd think that would be the end of it. It wasn't. 2 days later, Caleb's mother filed a request with the school board for a full curriculum audit, claiming that my teaching was politically biased and hostile to certain viewpoints. She didn't care that the district had sided with me. She didn't care that her son had cheated. She was determined to scorch the earth, and she still had a loud, sympathetic echo chamber online cheering her on. That's when I made my second big decision. I went public. Not by name. Not with details that violated confidentiality, but I posted an anonymous story on a teacher subreddit, then on my private blog, about what it's like being a public school teacher held hostage by helicopter parents who treat educators like customer service reps. The story went viral. I didn't expect it to, but the comments flooded in. Hundreds of other teachers shared their own stories. Dozens of parents actually chimed in to say they were horrified by what I'd endured. A few even guessed who I might be and sent supportive emails, apologizing for their community's behavior. Still, some said I should have just changed the grade, that I could have avoided all of this if I'd just let it go. I disagreed. Letting it go would have meant compromising everything I believed in, not just as a teacher, but as a person. If I'd caved to Caleb's mother, if I had changed that grade just to keep the peace, what message would that send? That cheating doesn't matter? That pressure trumps principle? That the loudest voice wins? I didn't become a teacher to hand out undeserved A's like party favors. I did it because I believe in what education can be when it's fair and real and rooted in integrity. I stood my ground, not just for me, but for every teacher who's been guilted into giving in. For every kid who puts in real effort and watches someone else get a pass because their parents scream louder. For the students who need to learn that consequences exist and that failing once isn't the end of the world, it's an invitation to try harder, not sue harder. After the dust settled, things did slowly return to normal. Caleb transferred out of my class a month later, supposedly due to schedule conflicts, though I suspect it was to save face. The school board denied his mother's curriculum audit request, stating it lacked evidence and motive. A few of the more aggressive parents backed off, likely realizing they'd hitched their wagons to a lost cause. I started getting more support than criticism. A few students even thanked me privately for not giving up on the class. Still, the whole ordeal left scars. I considered quitting that year. I updated my resume, looked into remote tutoring gigs and private education. I fantasized about walking away from it all. But every time I came close to resigning, I'd remember a quiet moment from the chaos, like the time a student who rarely spoke told me my feedback helped him write the best paper of his life. Or when another student stayed after class just to say, "Don't let them bully you. You're the best teacher I've had." That kept me going. I didn't write this post to play the martyr or ask for pity. I wrote it because I know I'm not alone. Teachers are drowning in demands, micromanaged by people who've never stepped into a classroom and vilified the moment a kid doesn't get the result their parents expect. We're told to be mentors, mediators, mental health coaches, tech experts, and somehow still deliver perfect lessons to 30 teenagers with wildly different needs. And when we draw a boundary, we're the problem. So, am I the a-hole for reporting a parent who tried to get me fired over a failing grade? Some people still think I am. I've seen the comments. You escalated it. You should have just let him pass. You cost that kid his college dreams. Maybe in their eyes, I'm the villain in this story. But if standing up for academic integrity, refusing to reward cheating, and protecting myself from slander makes me an a-hole, then I'll wear that label with pride.